I really liked the video to Jurassic. Sorry about the creative person behind that. And this shade you threw at Avicii's direction.
The video was like this. We had finished Jurassic quite a while before we'd done the rest of the EP. So we're just like, while we're still finishing jazz and harlot, we should probably, keep ourselves busy with something else. And so, because Jurassic is like,
not lose interest in the track,
yeah. Because
you listen to these things many times, you kind of, okay, we've had it with that one for a while.
So because like Jurassic starts off like really heavy and like aggressive sounding, but then it leads off into this kind of like hallelujah moment with like, the synths and the choirs and the strings. Kind of like the idea behind using Rocky as like the metaphor is kind of just like, you could say Rocky is a movie about boxing, but if you actually watch the movie and you pay attention, there's like, boxing has like the least to do with it, It's really about a guy and his, struggle to be worthy of himself and to feel like, pride in himself. So in a weird way, Jurassic is like, it goes into something that's really hard and aggressive, but then it ends up having like quite a tender side by the time you finish it. And so, besides just being a really fun idea for a video, we just thought that the two ideas kind of work hand in hand.
And so the EP is three incredible tracks, which I was going to you earlier about the order of the tracks. I seem to think the order of the tracks go quite nicely.
I don't know. I guess it is just a question of second guessing what you've done and sort of being quite critical of it. That I have these feelings coming back.
And I suppose that's the thing about artists. When do you know that a track is ready? When do you know that we can put this out? When do you know, okay, we have an EP, we're Sisterfella with this new act, we're ready for people to...
Well, jazz is like, to be very honest, jazz is the first original song we recorded together. Francois just came into my room and he's like, I've got this like little melody in my ear. Can we just record it quickly? And he played it and I was like, what are we gonna do with this? What are we gonna do with this? And then he kind of left the melody alone. And then I was like, okay, well, I added like my little touch, which is kind of like what we do. It's kind of like a back and forth. So we just took the same, melody and the same chord structure and the same riff, and then just made it a bit more electronic and like added like a different feel to it. But
when a track is actually finally finished, it has the mixing process full, it has the mastering, which came back sounding like we were quite pleasantly surprised when it came back from the mastering thing. But I think it's also a question of just all of a sudden there's smiles all around.
Yeah.
It's time, it's happening.
I think when you're making a song, it's quite an emotional process of like, you get the initial idea for it, and then you love it. You're like, oh, this is the greatest song ever, let's work on it. And then you work on it, and then there's this point where you kind of run out of ideas for it. And then you hate it, you reject it, you don't want to work on it anymore. But then after that like hard process of like hating it, you start to do little things along the way and you realize I'm falling back in love with it, and then you realize how can I finish it, and then one day you're just sitting back and listening to it and you're just like, it's ready, like this is our idea, this is what it sounds like.
It's quite impressive.
And so for you studying jazz in particular, it is jazz, right?
Jazz and classical. Both of sort of art music. Yeah.
So what would you say to the purists who would say, you're stepping into territory you don't belong there? Just stick to your beats and your Pro Tools. Jazz has its place.
I don't know. I think that person. For me, I just feel like they run out of ideas sometimes. You have to have different influences to be able to do something new. It's been the same way through all of history. When Mozart was writing his first thing, it's because he was able to tour all around Europe and hear all the different styles and get influence from, and that's what made him amazing. So I mean, throughout history, it's been like that. You need to be influenced by other things to sort of gain fresh perspective and have fresh ideas. So I think, I mean, that's pretty much.
And there always has to be someone or someone who like pushes like the genre like a little bit forward, you know, who makes it okay for like, if you just think of like traditional dance music that started in like Chicago back in like the early 90s, it was just very basic, very minimal. Compared to like, you know, what David Guetta or Vici or Skrillex makes of it today, like it's changed so much, but the foundation of it is still the same. So I think at least with a song like Jazz, it may not be what the purist wants to listen to, but at the heart of it all, it's still something you can enjoy.
Are you launching EP?
Yeah, we just...
Just to final wrap up, it's 3 tracks for EP. It's an incredible EP. But we want to know when to expect an album. Because, you know, you have a lot of remixes on SoundCloud, which we appreciate. But, you know, 3 tracks is maybe a little slim. When can we expect a full length?
Well, funny enough, like I think it was 2 nights ago we started working on what could very possibly be like our next single. But as for like an album, you know, at least from my side, like it's something that we want to take really seriously because we're such like lovers of music. You know, we don't want to just
rush. You know?
You don't want to just put out a bunch of songs and say and call it an album. You want to have an idea, a feel, so that everything feels organic and natural throughout the album. So it's always something that we're going to take our time with, but it's definitely something we're excited to do.
And have you been working with other artists, producers? Has the project even started before the next album?
Well, I mean, there's sort of, you know, don't get us wrong, there's a lot of things happening in the pipelines, you know, music being written behind the scenes, and I mean, these 3 tracks that you hear have been selected out of, you know, a number of things that we've been working on.
Okay.
But I mean, there is, you know, it's luckily me being in this sort of more performing world in terms of instrumentalists and singers, you know, having that whole sort of, what's the word, you know, group of professionals where you kind of know that you can ask someone, okay, come and record something on our track or come and do a vocal track for this that we want to do. So I mean, that's really helpful, but at this stage it's more kind of writing that and, you know, thinking of people that you might want to work with, or you know. But I mean, we have been collaborating with with the mixing guy Jürgen. He's been a you know, quite a fighter.
Yeah, quite a fighter. And I mean, we're always open to like any ideas of collaboration or like working with other people. It's just that I think we really love our own music and we take it seriously so much that anything we do has to be, you know, just right. You know, and that's why like the EP for us is something that we can be really proud of because it sounds just right. It came out just the way we wanted it to. So we're gonna put that same like, you know, detail and care into everything that we do. So yeah, expect us when you don't expect us.
Sure, absolutely. Final thing, what would be the ultimate goal? Like if you could wake up tomorrow and have anything for Sisterfella, what would be the ultimate?
Well, I know what my answer is to that. It's all of a sudden having the kind of backing of whether it be a big record company or, you know, someone that's just going to say, here's an advance, stop whatever else you're doing, work on your music, record it, start getting stuff done, so that everything else can kind of just fall by the wayside and you can sort of focus on what you really enjoy doing. You know? So I'd have to say just the freedom to be able to work on our own music all day. I mean, that's kind of for me is the dream, you know. So I mean, how that might come about, who knows? But you know, something to work towards.
I don't know. You probably just did. I think the first album, you know, it's like, I think the greatest thing for me and like the best thing that I love about Sisterfella is that I'm always the idea of like what would like our best song sound like, you know. So an album is something that makes me really think of that, like, you know, what happens when we sit down and say, okay, for the next 6 months to a year, we're just gonna lock ourselves, you know, with coffee and cigarettes and whatever else, and then lock ourselves in our studio and just work on music 24/7. And I'm really excited for what that will sound like in the end. So if I could wake up to anything, I'd love to wake up to a brand new Sisterfella album and be like, oh wow, I made this, you know, I was a part of that.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.